Hello, from Attila's Multimedia in the beautiful Comox Valley. You're listening to another episode of the Edible Valley Podcast. I'm chef and host Jonathan Fraser.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Howlett. Thanks for joining us as we go on another culinary venture through the Comox Valley and beyond.
Back in studio again, and tonight episode we're going to get into talking, we're going to get down to the dirt. Actually, not so much dirt, I think, is where we're going with this. And we're going to talk to Allain about a new farm in the Comox Valley.
Perfect. And what separates this farm from other farms, John?
Well, let's get right into Allain and get him to talk a little bit about where he's from. You've just started a new farm. It's the Island of Eden Farm.
Island of Eden Farms, yeah. We just started farming. Kind of came out of a bit of a kind of therapy / hobby.
Right.
Always had hopes to get into farming somewhere down the line, but unintentionally got put into it and just kind of rolled with it. So it's a high-tech farm, indoors, LED, sustainable. So it's kind of finding how to farm where you not really...
Where you would normally traditionally farm.
Yeah,
really?
During times you can't.
Right. So what drew you to this? What made this come about?
A really bad work accident.
Oh.
So I was up north and actually got blown off of the side of an oil field truck.
Oh, my goodness.
So, it was kind of like in the recovery of that. I wanted to farm, and it was kind of like the therapy. So it was, couldn't do anything else, but there was stuff growing around and kind of that passion. So
you kind of connected with the soil again or the ground and got into it?
Connected with the soil, and then I was like, hey, I want to do this on a bigger scale, but how I can't do it in the ground. So it got into aquaponics. So it got into like growing fish and vegetables together, and
interesting.
Kind of that rabbit trail of Pinterest and looking at what you can do.
And is that where you still are, or was that just a stepping stone?
That was a stepping stone. That's a goal in the future, is to make that, because it is sustainable. You can grow the fish and the plants together. You don't need to add anything.
Oh, wow.
So other than just feed.
Right.
So which you can actually even grow your own feed.
Right.
So it's trying to get into there, but on a commercial scale, it's just not there yet.
Right.
Unless you're in like California or somewhere that has a better kind of lighting. Yeah.
What are you growing right now, or what's your first?
Our first step in is actually a hydroponic farm. So I looked into building them, but there's actually units and stuff that are going on down in the States. There's quite a big trend going on down in the States where it's, you're in a shipping container and they kind of have the automation set up and
Wow.
So it's a pretty cool system.
So you did a little investment and
So I put an investment in. I was on WCB, and then I basically pitched them a business plan. They said no, so I kind of went my way and started it.
Wow. And what sort of crops are you looking at right now?
It's mainly small root crops, so it's like your lettuces, your kales, your chard, anything that kind of has a smaller root base.
Oh yeah.
So you can do tomatoes, but you need a bigger spot to grow.
Okay.
But with having it vertical, it's about a 3x3 square and 8 feet tall. So there's so much you can grow in there. There's like, I'm about to get into strawberries. Like I'm just doing like part of my farm as kind of like a tester to see what I can grow in it. We grew bok choy. We got some of the herbs. So just playing around.
I'm totally interested in this because this is you're able to do year-round farming.
Year-round farming.
That's kind of amazing.
Huge.
Yeah, especially when you look out the door like on a day like today and it's been snowing. -5. Most of the farmers I know have been like, they did a mad dash over the last couple of weeks to sort of bring the last of their crops in.
Exactly.
Right.
And now they're trying to keep the crops that they can sell, but you're at a position that you can be supplying.
I'm just ramping up. So I kind of timed it out. I started in June. And I kind of timed it out so that I knew that I would be kind of hitting full stride during the winter because I knew everyone was going to be out.
Right, that's when you have the best opportunity to be able to provide and have people pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how has it gone so far?
Lots of learning. So it's high tech. So there's so much going on in it that I went from basically having a big bucket in my backyard to this high tech farm that has got pumps and programming and sensors, and it's pretty
wow.
So,
because maybe we should just talk a little bit to our listeners so they can sort of understand the differences between traditional farming and what a hydroponic farm is doing. Like you've got some different growing techniques, which are
it's essentially the base is the same. The plants are getting exactly what they need from the soil as they are from water, but rather than being in the ground, the roots have basically no stressors. So they're basically sandwiched between like a pond filter,
right?
But they, as fast as they can genetically grow, they grow. So water versus soil, you're not really, you don't have as much waste. So this is where kind of like I call it the future of farming. Lots of people are, because you can only grow so much in a space, but then when you go to water, like you change where you can grow. Like you don't have to base it on, hey, I need 2 acres or however much land to grow a certain amount. You can start growing vertical, horizontally.
Right.
But it's in water. So sustainable side of it, you're not just dumping a whole bunch of water and fertilizer and hoping it gets there. It's a closed loop. So you basically, like I use 3,000 gallons of water a year, and that's just cycles where conventional, that's like in an hour.
Yeah. True.
That's incredible.
Most of that's going away into the ground and disappearing. So it's quite an interesting process that you've got going there.
Yeah.
I was looking at your website because you guys got a nice website with a bit of details about it. Because I mean, to me, I don't know a lot about hydroponics, and it sounds interesting. And I kind of weigh the differences, like, how much energy is used to produce, and I guess it kind of looks like a very interesting model. Like you have a lot of the work that goes into traditional farming may not be there. Yeah. I imagine there's a lot of other work.
Yeah, there's a lot of other work, but like you're weeding. So that's where, coming from this injury, I was like, okay, I can't do the bending over. I can't weed. I can't push a shovel in. I pushed a shovel in 2 months ago and blew 2 discs out in my back.
Oh my God.
So it's like, okay, let's get to this where it's basically, you just plant the seed, you watch it grow, plant it again, and then harvest it. So it's a lot of reward for not as much work, or not even like a quarter.
And I love the fact when you're growing up, you don't have to bend over.
Exactly.
Or those bottom plants, you can just forget about those, right?
Yeah, not only that, but you're actually needing very little space in as you said, growing horizontally or vertically.
Yeah.
That's reducing the amount. I mean, I'm not going to make assumptions, but like now you can do it in your backyard and produce what say like a small hobby farm would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So here's a question. Where is your farm located at?
My farm's located over on Knight Road, so it's over by the Comox Airport.
Okay.
Right.
This is where that kind of whole trying to make it happen. It's on leased land, so being that it's pretty expensive to buy land.
Of course.
Just trying to find a space because it is just a 40-foot shipping container. So you find the cheapest place to put it on that works. And
that's incredible.
So land that's not normally used, nobody is really using it. So it's a cheaper way of doing it.
That's fantastic. And you said, too, that one of the benefits to you is that quite a bit of it's automated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can run it off my phone, so I can check.
That's incredible.
Check temperatures, humidity, stuff like that, and
And you can adjust them from your phone. I
can adjust them from my phone.
That's amazing.
So,
do you ever have those moments when your phone goes off and you start to do a little panic? And
yes. I see it start shooting up numbers, so it sends notifications. It's like pH is too high or something, and sometimes it doesn't work, and I got to run out 10 o'clock at night, go change something in the farm.
But
yeah.
But I don't think it's any worse than any other farmers have to do, because farming is not an easy job. So.
No, I'm learning that. With getting into kind of commercial farming,
So what are your ambitions with it? What do you hope to achieve, or where do you hope to take it?
It's to grow. It's to start just filling that niche, that spot of, hey, I'm not getting my salad from California or Mexico in the middle of winter.
Right.
It's now I'm getting it from Island of Eden or like somebody that's local. And knowing kind of like our whole platform is know your farmer, love your food. So it's going to taste better because it's monitored. So when in the ground, you can't really check to know that it's always getting what it needs. In my farm, I can because I can tell what nutrient I got going in there. I can tell what the pH is. And like a regular farm, you got to be going around and checking that. You can't, like I'm growing 2 to 4 acres in a 40-foot container. I can check all that.
Yeah, that's incredible. Is there any pushback? Are you having do people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people are reluctant at all.
Yeah, you get lots of. Is it as nutritious?
Right.
So, that's the thing. Like the plant has no outside factors. Like they're
right.
Like I can tell that it's getting basically the nutrient that it needs when it needs it. Basically.
Right, and it's not as exposed to the elements and pests and.
Yeah, I don't have to use any pesticides. I can throw in a nice heritage organic seed.
Right.
So it's kind of.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So in some cases it's
I'm getting pushback.
But in some cases it's actually a far better product than you could find elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The taste is like compared to going to the grocery store and buying, say, a couple of romaine heads and making your salad, compared to what mine. Like I had no idea the different flavors that come from the different type of lettuces. I didn't realize that there was 50 different types of lettuce. Like there's so much to choose.
That's something I'm going through with my kids right now. We're I'm like, oh, do you like this one? It's got a little bit of a peppery, or they're like, oh, this one's a little herby, or there's a lot of choice out there.
Well, I always do the big one that always gets me, and it's from working in the wholesale industry and dealing with those, is parsley.
Yeah.
And parsley is one of those ones that if you buy it from a supermarket, and I'm not trying to knock it, or you buy it from like in a restaurant, what we bring in is these 50-pound cases of it at a time. Yeah. And it's very lack of flavor.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of flavor.
Nice color, looks pretty.
Hardy.
It's, and it has sustainability. But then when you go out into your own garden, you pick some fresh parsley, as in the weed that took over my front yard, as Darren we referred to on previous podcasts here, where Darren was supplying, I think, half his family with parsley from my front yard.
I'd send the kids over, like, go up to John's and grab some more parsley.
Anyways, but the flavor from that was just intense. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. So to have that product that year round, that's fresh, like romaine, has that crisp and has that.
Well, that's just
taste.
it. Yeah, romaine. There's another one. Grocery store romaine. Again, not to knock anyone, but quite often you get into periods of time when it's flavorless.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, I guess you wouldn't have to encounter that because.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Picked the day, like at our farmers markets, like I picked the day of. I'm up 2 a.m. picking.
Wow.
20, 30 bags of lettuce, and it's a mix, but they're getting it picked that day. So.
And how are you feeling with the life of your product? Like after picked,
it lasts. I've had quite a few people come back and ask me, "What are you putting on your lettuce to make it last that long?" And I got to explain to them, "There's nothing on the lettuce. It's picked the day of. It's
right." So again, that's like whatever store-bought lettuce. It's been picked a week, if not 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And so half of its life has just been in transition or in transit. Yeah. Whereas, if you're picking it day of. You're just getting that extra life out of that product when you take it home.
Well, and it's amazing how long some lettuces will hold up, like if you take care of it properly. Yeah. I remember I used to work on charter boats, and so, I mean, this is not a great example, but we'd go into, we'd be up north at some very, what's the word
remote.
I'm looking? Yeah, remote areas that doesn't get a lot of shipments. So you'd have barges coming in, and you'd have to pick the week that you could be there to get the barge.
Right.
And the trick was to get the food before they sprayed.
Oh.
Like if I was in the grocery store and they sprayed it with that little bit of water on there,
it goes limp.
Game over.
Right.
Like it was game over. So I'd always be like, can I get your lettuce from the back? And the produce guys would just looking at me like, no, there's lots out here. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want the stuff in the back. And then I would wrap it with paper towel. And we stick it in the very back of the boat, on the very bottom, as deep as we could get it.
As dark as you can.
And wrap it and stick it upside down.
Yeah.
And then we would just let it sit. And then I could keep we would have romaine hearts. Let's say romaine hearts.
Yeah.
After about 3-4 weeks, but basically the outside would be rotten, and
Yeah.
I'd be just getting that nice heart
Picking
out of
in
the
the
stem,
middle.
picking, and then
Wow.
and then I'd be able to do it. But it was always a struggle. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you can get fresh day of,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I've had people say, "Oh, hey, we bought a bag of lettuce from you and forgot it for 2 weeks, and we pulled it out, and it looked like the day we bought it."
That's
so
crazy.
They go and make their salad, and it's
And so you're saying that right now that's where people can find you is at the farmers market?
farmers market. We do offer a weekly, call it CSA, so it's
Right.
a new thing, community supported agriculture.
Right.
I just say green box. So
Interesting.
you can sign up, and there's a couple different options you can get. It's basically a big bag of salad mix that we pick, and it's families are saying it's about 2 big salads to 3 big salads a week. It's just every week you get we
Yeah.
change up what types. Like every week we do a different, like oak leaf or an iceberg plus a whole bunch of other stuff. But
Wow.
we kind of feature just so people don't get the same stuff every week. They're
Right.
getting
I love getting into salads. So that's, I mean, most of what the Atlas is and what I've been doing over the last few years is all revolving around fresh greens and
nice
lettuces and keeping fresh ingredients for people, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been lucky of not being that French fry guy who has
Yeah.
trying to push that on the side of everything. I've had to go the other way. So it's getting those fresh ingredients and keeping them clean and
Yeah.
and making sure they don't rust up on you, because that's
yeah.
always my biggest nightmare.
And that's the other good thing about our product is you don't have to wash it. Like it's not in the dirt. It's not getting sprayed with the fertilizer that you
Right.
need to wash off, or the pesticide that you need to wash off. It's a huck in the bowl. It's ready to go. So that's kind
amazing.
of part of
Yeah.
the appeal for what we're doing is
Yeah. Just the longevity alone, I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea of the process too, but just that you get that extra life out of it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to know more.
Well, we should ask you a few how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Definitely. And if they're interested in your CSAs or other things.
Or your
they can-
box program.
Green box program, yeah. Or what times to meet you at the farmer's market, you know?
farmers market is every Saturday. So we're there pretty much every Saturday. There's the odd time that we take a Saturday off. That's a guaranteed place that we're at. And then the best way of contacting us is Facebook. So we're very active on our Facebook and Instagram, just keeping people up to date on kind of what we're doing. We are trying to branch off into some animals. So like we got pork and beef that we're going to get
interesting.
into, but the majority of our business is the greens. So we
Right.
just kind of keep people up. It's that whole know your farmer, love your food. You see what we're doing, and we'll
And what
show,
should they look for on Facebook if they're trying to find you?
Island of Eden Farms.
Right.
So
Perfect.
just our name, Island of Eden Farms, in the Google or in the Facebook search, and we'll
Right.
pop up. And
Perfect.
yeah,
Great. And I think that covers everything.
You have this as a bit of a family affair, too.
this is a family. We got 5 boys, and
Wow.
that was part of the reason why I kind of thought about farming. Is
Yeah.
we need to feed them. Is they're 5 boys. Our
My
oldest
goodness.
is 8, and it's man. I'm not looking
you
forward to our
have
food
5
bill.
kids and 8 is the oldest.
8 is the oldest.
I am so sorry for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's busy, and
Yeah.
that's why we kind of got into the animals too. We're like, man, this is
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
and
eat
then,
as much as-
and you've got something to keep them busy with now, too, right?
Exactly. They help. They'll help plant the seeds, so it's pretty fun for them. They like dropping the little seeds in the holes,
Right.
so they kind of run out and do that. And then when they get bored, they go out and I don't know, play with animals. So
That's amazing. And yeah, that's great. I absolutely want to come check it out at some point, or at least check you out at the market and see what's going on.
yeah, you should definitely come.
Well, and I think we're going to be getting some supply from you over the next little while, and
Yeah.
hopefully
Oh, nice.
getting some
About that.
fresh ingredients. And I think we're going to feature on a
Save
couple
it a
fresh
list.
sheets over the next little while. So if people are really interested, and you've got a couple
check
of
it out.
restaurants that you've been talking with
yeah,
too.
yeah,
So
we've been getting into a couple of restaurants, and
Great.
yeah, so we're
That's fantastic. Well, I wish you nothing but success. I hope it all works out for you.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
all right. Well, and we'd like to thank you for joining in and listening to another episode of the Edible Valley podcast with you. Of course, we'd love to hear any comments or feedback from you about the show and some things that may interest you about our wonderful community or any Edible Valley out there at all. We're all about eating local, sustainable food. So if you're interested in any of that, please let us know what you're interested in, and we'd love to do an episode about that.
Great. And you can find us on any of the social media, Facebook, WordPress site. Everything is under Edible Valley or the Edible Valley. And please...
we're working on a little bit of YouTube video now. So we're going to do a lot of our podcasts just with some still photos of some of the food around here and some things we've been up to. So
absolutely,
hopefully that should work out and be interesting for people. And yeah, definitely, I forgot the email address. Send it to the ediblevalley@gmail.com.
Perfect.
And we'd like to thank our sponsors, of course.
Of course. The Atlas Cafe, who've been behind us since the beginning. Thank you so much for them. And the Butcher's Block in Courtney. We also want to thank Ivan's Truffles, as well as Kirsten Wood Music. Both were traditional. Thanks, John, for the save.
As Blaine, our old former host on the Edible Valley and the inventor of this whole thing.
So. Right. And last but not least, Matilda's Multimedia.
I see him waving over in the corner there.
Thanks to all the sponsors for keeping this show going.
And thank you for listening to the Edible Valley podcast.